Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I also want to thank you for being here, as obviously we've had some critical developments since last Wednesday. We want to keep you apprised of those and update you with what we can share today. On December 3rd, 20-year-old Tyrque Jones was arrested as the prime suspect in this case. The identification of him as our suspect back in August was based on evidence available to us at the time of the incident and initial investigation. That evidence included surveillance video from various locations and witness statements of those that we could find who would cooperate with us. The surveillance video was reviewed and analyzed extensively by multiple detectives, supervisors in the Criminal Investigations Division, as well as Ms. Selzer, who was assigned to the case. Based on those reviews, probable cause was established to identify Mr. Jones as a suspect, and an arrest warrant was granted. Subsequently, we announced that he was being sought for the murder of Mr. Holmes. As you're all aware, this led to the 4-month search and eventual arrest of Mr. Jones this past Wednesday, December 3rd. After the arrest of Jones, 2 of our detectives drove to Hennepin County Jail and conducted an interview with Jones that night. After we were finally able to interview Mr. Jones directly, we immediately worked to corroborate his account of his actions and compare it against the video evidence that we have, as well as other witness statements. That review process pointed us in a new direction and now leads us to believe that Mr. Jones is not the responsible party in the homicide of Azim Holmes. As I mentioned on Wednesday, Mr. Jones is presumed innocent until proven guilty. We're not in a position to identify a new suspect at this time, but as we continue to work with the new information, I'm confident our detectives will be able to identify a new suspect, and we will push that out to the community once we can make that determination. We will put as many resources as we can into finding that person, and we'll once again work with our local and regional partners, and we'll be asking for the public's help in locating them as well. Last night, a motion to dismiss the charges against Tyrque Jones was filed by Ms. Selzer, and this morning it was signed by a judge. Hennepin County received the order around 9:45 this morning, and he will be released from custody in Hennepin County once that is processed. We certainly regret any distress caused by the earlier identification and arrest. However, we are also frustrated that Mr. Jones did not come forward on his own to provide a statement during the initial stages of this investigation. The reasons for why Mr. Jones chose to not do that would just be speculation at this time, so I will not be able to answer any questions about that. This development underscores why we had been urging Mr. Jones and his family to come forward and provide his side of the story as part of our investigation. I want to make sure everybody understands that his arrest was based on probable cause, which is needed to make an arrest, not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is needed to get a conviction. While I'm sensitive to the fact this development may be upsetting or confusing to some, please know that probable cause for an arrest does not equate to guilt. That is part of the reason why the interview of someone determined to be a suspect is so crucial. It is our job to make decisions based on the evidence we have at hand at the time, which is often incomplete. Mr. Jones's interview is critical in helping us reassess the evidence and move the investigation forward accurately. Unfortunately, we're now that much further behind as we did not have the critical and necessary information needed to clear Mr. Jones and the charges related to the homicide right away. Criminal investigations evolve as new evidence emerges, and our responsibility is to share accurate information with the community, conduct thorough and accurate investigations, and develop them based on what the evidence tells us. When new facts change the direction of an investigation, we're always going to correct the record. The Fargo Police Department's values of fairness, accountability, and professionalism, as well as being transparent to the community we serve, are essential to maintaining public trust, and we remain committed to demonstrating those to you. We want it known that we continue to be extremely proud of the work our officers, investigators, and detectives do and have done during this investigation. I can share with you that as soon as this new information came to light and was corroborated yesterday, the 2 sergeants that are overseeing the investigation and the apprehension of Jones notified me immediately. We then consulted with Ms. Selzer and presented the new information for her to review to ensure that we take the proper steps to redirect this investigation and now work to identify and apprehend the person responsible. Our detectives are actively working to do just that, and we're working closely with the Cass County State's Attorney's Office to ensure that the case moves forward appropriately. We continue to support the family of Azim Holmes during this difficult time, and we've also communicated this update directly with them as well. We want to recognize the dedication of our detectives, officers, partner agencies, Ms. Selzer, and others from the Cass County State's Attorney's Office who have worked tirelessly on this case over the last 4 months. While this development represents a change in direction that might be disappointing to some, our commitment to justice and public safety remains unwavering, and I'm confident we will identify and locate the person responsible for this crime as quickly as we possibly can. We'll continue to provide further updates as this investigation progresses, and bringing the responsible party to justice remains our top priority. Thank you for your continued patience, your trust, and your support of the Fargo Police Department. Due to this still being an ongoing investigation, we'll not be releasing the videos related to the investigation at this time. But with that being said, I fully understand that the public will have a desire to view them, and once this case is completed, we will ensure that is done as soon as the State's Attorney's Office deems it appropriate. I'm sure many of you will have questions regarding what Mr. Jones told us in his interview, but we will not be discussing or answering questions related to what Mr. Jones disclosed to us. The reason for this is it is very important we do not negatively impact the integrity of this investigation. Information we gathered from Mr. Jones' interview will help us craft how we proceed with the investigation and interviews with other individuals we deem as important witnesses to this crime. In order to do that successfully, the information from his interview cannot be public knowledge. Again, statements made in interviews are critical pieces of information, but we still need to corroborate them through reviewing evidence to ensure what is being told to us is accurate and truthful. I want to end with a continued plea to the public to contact us if you have information that you feel is pertinent to this investigation and that would help us identify and locate the responsible party. With that, we'll now open up to any questions you have for Ms. Selzer or myself. I will do our very best to answer anything that you have. I just ask you to be understanding that there are certain things that we are just not going to be able to disclose at this time.
Mr. Jones is still wanted on several other crimes in Fargo, terrorizing, resisting arrest, other things. He's got warrants out. Why are you releasing him?
I don't know that he does have any current warrants out for his arrest that I'm aware of.
Court records reflect that he does.
Okay. We'll have to look into that. That's new information for me.
Have you ever looked at anyone else through this investigation, or was Tyrque Jones your guy and only guy the entire time?
No, good question. And Tyrque Jones was our main prime suspect, but there certainly are other people involved in this that we have been trying to locate. Most of them have been witnesses that we're trying to locate to identify and see if they have information that could lead us to corroborate that Jones was in fact the shooter. But like I said, through our initial investigation, we had probable cause to believe that he was our prime suspect.
What do you tell the public regarding, it shows you went down one avenue. Were there other avenues? It appears they weren't explored. And now the alleged shooter has a 4-month jump on you guys.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said, based on the information we had, the evidence that we had at the time, this was the avenue that we were focusing on. But to say that we didn't explore other avenues would be unfair. We have, like I said, been looking at other people. We've looked through that video multiple times, with that being really our main piece of evidence that we were utilizing to try to identify the shooter. We had to make a decision and an assessment based on what we could see in that video. Like I said, all of that will be public at some point, which I think will probably shed some light on why we're at where we're at. But we certainly are trying to identify other people that were in that large crowd of people, and try to identify them and locate them to get information from them as well.
When this case first happened, public safety was a big issue. What do you tell the public now? The alleged killer is still out there on the run and has been for 4 months.
Right. Yeah, and that's extremely unfortunate. And again, like I said, it would have been nice to have this information 4 months ago, right? But to tell the public, I think we still live in a safe community. I certainly encourage the public to come forward and bring any information that they have that we might not have that would help us locate this person. And the big thing to keep our community safe is for people to do that and make sure that they come forward with information that we can help to keep our community safe.
On that, and this is the last question, and I'll hand it off. I've heard from credible sources that Tyrque Jones was actually talked to by detectives twice the night of the shooting out at the Westwood Estates. Why was he not brought in and talked with more that night then?
And I can't answer that right now, Matt, but I can certainly follow up and get back to you on that question.
So as you guys are referencing this video that is allegedly proving his innocence, I know Tyrque Jones's parents talked to other local news outlets saying they had that video months ago. Did you guys have that video months ago, or is this something that was new in the investigation?
No, we've had the video. The video is what we used to develop probable cause to get a warrant for his arrest.
So if you had the video months ago that allegedly proved his innocence, why wasn't he innocent then?
The video is what we used, like I said, to develop probable cause. And based on the information we got from him, we reevaluated the video. And based on his information from his actions, we're able to look at that video through a different lens and corroborate some of the information that he gave, which is what led to his release.
Okay, and then I'm gonna ask a question that I think is on everyone's minds. We have been asking the Fargo Police Department, we asked 3 times yesterday, where's the chief in all of this the past couple days, and we never got a response. Are you able to tell us where the chief is at right now?
Yeah, I'll let the Assistant Chief. Sure.
Just out of respect for the Azim Holmes family, we would like to keep the context of our questions here today focused on that investigation. But I can assure you, Chief Zabolski and our entire executive team is well aware and informed of this. In our previous interactions with you, the media, and our community, the importance was getting information out quickly and accurately. That's why we're here today. So we want to share that information with you quickly and accurately. So, thank you.
So obviously there have been new developments in this investigation. Are we going to be seeing any internal investigation regarding how this was clearly developed incorrectly in terms of seeking Jones as the primary suspect in this case?
Yeah, well, I would argue that it wasn't incorrectly. We went off the information that we had at the time, and had we had information from his interview, it probably would have gone differently. I've watched the video since I came up to investigations multiple times. We watched it multiple times yesterday after getting the additional information. And based on what I've seen, on what the information I had from the investigators that dealt with it at the time, I can't say that we wouldn't have done it the same way again.
And are you seeking multiple suspects now in this case, or do you have a singular suspect that you are focusing on?
That's what we're working through right now.
Okay. And is there any plan from either the police department or the state's attorney's office to apologize to Jones or his family for the harassment they faced during this 4-month search?
What harassment, I guess?
From the public after police statements about seeking him for as the primary suspect in this murder.
Yeah, I can't control what the public says. I certainly am, like I said, regret that this is how it played out. But like I said, at the time of the investigation, based on the information we had, we did have probable cause to make that arrest and identify him as a suspect. It would have been really nice to interview him right away. We could have cleared that up 4 months ago, and we'd be 4 months ahead.
And then obviously one more question here for the state's attorney's office. Obviously, Jones was on unsupervised probation at the time of the shooting back in August. Is this going to affect his probation at all for the charges he faced in that terrorizing incident?
The dismissal of the charges, are you asking?
Yes.
No, it would not.
Okay.
Initially, the shooting was connected to the other shooting, part of an ongoing feud between 2 groups. Does that still hold true?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Was Jones always the prime suspect in all 3 shootings downtown? The 3 people that were shot, the fatal one, and then the
Correct.
2 other men?
Correct.
And so you aren't willing to say whether or not there's a single individual being sought for all 3 shootings?
Not at this
today?
time, but like I said, as soon as we have that information, we'll definitely push that out.
Could there potentially have been multiple shooters?
Potentially.
Okay.
Are you able to say if Jones was he in Fargo the night of the shooting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know you said you can't really give details about what Jones said to protect the investigation. Can you kind of describe, though, the conversation that detectives had with him? Was it lengthy, and how much insight did it really help shed a new light on this investigation?
Yeah, I can't say how long it was, but obviously it shed a lot of light on the investigation, which is why he's being released.
Do you have any, now, I know you said you're looking for a suspect. Do you have any idea who this suspect or suspects may even be at all, or are you just keeping it close to the chest?
Yeah, I'm not going to discuss that right now, but like I said, I'm hoping that we can develop that relatively quickly here. As soon as we do, we'll push that out.
You say you're frustrated that he didn't come forward earlier with the information that he gave you on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you're, it was understanding from his mother's public pleas that they were willing to come forward with that information, but couldn't get any assurances from Fargo Police. That's sort of what she said in her public statement. So it does sound like the family was willing to give that information, but Fargo Police didn't want to play ball, I guess. So I'm just trying to, you seem very frustrated that he kept this, but it seems like the family at least was willing to share it earlier.
Yeah, and it would have been nice if they would have done that. I guess I can't speak to what assurances they were looking for, other than we've never discouraged them from coming forward or giving us any type of statement.
They never made any offer to you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Are you able to say why he was in Minneapolis?
I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
Is there anything the Fargo Police Department is going to do moving forward with further investigations, changing your tactics in these investigations based on this miss?
Yeah, no, I think anytime we do an investigation like this, we always learn something for sure. And we always do a debrief afterwards of what went well, what could have gone better. Were there mistakes made? And those are all things that we'll certainly assess as we go through this for sure. Absolutely.
I have a good idea what your answer is going to be, but is Elijah Hughes a potential suspect in what happened downtown, the victim in the other homicide, since you said all these incidents were connected?
No.
Sorry, just going back to the last question I asked, what did you learn from this? I mean, do you know what tactics might change?
I'm not going to get into that type of stuff, but certainly reviewing of the video, how we do that, all of that stuff is stuff that we need to make sure that we look at. I certainly don't want anyone to feel, or the detectives to feel like we think they did anything wrong. Like I said, I've watched the video multiple times. All of us up here have seen the video. Again, based off of what we had at the time, I don't know that we would have done it differently. But that's all stuff that we'll sit down and discuss.
Any indication that Jones was on the run because he knows what happened and who did this, and he was trying to protect them?
I can't speak to that yet. That's all stuff that we'll certainly work through on the investigation to try to find that out.
And just going back to the press conference on Wednesday, a different reporter asked you, how confident are you guys that this is the guy? And the answer was, we're very confident. What's your message to Jones, Holmes, the public, knowing that he wasn't the guy now?
Yeah, at the time we were very confident, and that's part of the reason we wanted to do that interview. I mean, that's crucial information, like I stated, right? Like, that's part of this investigation. At the time, with what we had, we were very confident that he was the person. But I think this shows that our investigators are doing their thorough due diligence. And once we got his interview completed, we went back and looked at everything we had. We put what he was saying and compared it to that evidence, and ultimately came to the decision that he wasn't the guy. So I just want to commend the detectives for the thorough work that they did on that.
Just any kind of, further be on the lookout or bolos or anything for any other investigation. Are you guys going to have the same confidence?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Like I stated earlier, the way we make these decisions is based on the evidence that we have at the time. And probable cause isn't, like I said, that doesn't equate to guilt. That just gets us to a point where a reasonable person thinks that a crime was committed and that person was involved. Then we need to bring them in and we need to interview them, just like we did in this case.
So given Jones and his family's clear discomfort with talking with the Fargo Police, does that raise any concerns for you about how you interact with the community in these types of investigations in order to get people to cooperate?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's stuff that, I think we try to push a really good message that, we're going to do our due diligence, and if someone's innocent, well, we're going to prove that. I think this case probably is a good one that shows that our detectives are going to do their due diligence to make sure we work through the evidence. Like I said, I feel like I keep saying the same thing, but based on what we had at the time, we did feel we had probable cause that he was the shooter. And it was important that we get him in to get his statement, and that's ultimately what got us to the point where now we can reevaluate that evidence and determine that he wasn't.
This question might be for the Assistant State's Attorney, but motion to dismiss the murder charge. Are other charges possible, since we know that Jones was at the scene that night, involved somehow?
I don't expect at this stage that any other charges will be filed against him. I don't have any information to suggest that. But again, we're going to continue with the investigation and evaluate the information as it comes in.
The Jones case has been sealed since right after it was filed. I know that there's a new law about continuing to seal dismissed cases, but will it ever be unsealed? Will there ever be anything unsealed having to do with that case?
I think that once a case is dismissed, that it would not be open to the public, the court record. That would be a better question, I think, for the clerk of court, but I believe that it would not be open.
Okay.
I know you said obviously Jones had a lot of information about this, but several other people have been charged in various ways. Is this kind of a very complex case due to the nature of people? And is Jones the only one not cooperating with investigators? Or excuse me, he cooperated, but I mean, you could say he ran for 4 months, but shows the cooperation you've been getting from other participants in this case.
Yeah, I mean,
And is it because they're scared to talk because of this ongoing feud?
right, and that I can't speak to because a lot of them don't want to talk to us. What the reason behind that I can't speak to because they won't talk to us. But to answer your first part of that question, it was a very complicated scene that we were dealing with a lot of people right around that bar close time. So we're, like I said, we're trying to do the best we can with what we had, and then working, days afterwards, and then over the last 4 months to try to make sure that we're getting all the information that we can. And like I said, we have been looking for other people that we know are there, that we think might have crucial information that would help this investigation. It's just that we can't locate them, and they're not willing to, or they're not willing to talk to us.